It's the Score North Twin Show.
Okay, gentlemen, we are days away from the trade deadline. Twins coming off maybe their biggest series win, maybe their biggest just game win, the comeback against the best team in baseball. So we'll get to that. We'll get to Judd has some updates on the TV situation. And the Twins are on the grid today.
Huge show.
How are we going to cram it in? And we only have like 30 minutes because of podcast recording, scheduling conflicts here. So we're going to try and cram in as much as we can in a 30-minute Score North Twin Show. And we welcome any and all of you next Tuesday, July 30th, for a Score North Twin Show trade deadline watch party at Park Tavern in St. Louis Park. 4 p.m. is when we're going to get there and hang out. Dex will join us later once the Twins-Mets game starts, but he'll be monitoring trade deadline action. But we'll be there at 4 o'clock next Tuesday, Park Tavern, 5 p.m. trade deadline, so we'll see what activity happens. And then 6 p.m. Twins and Mets. And yes, it is going to be available on TV at Park Tavern.
Whoa, really? That's great.
So if you haven't been able to watch a Twins game since May 1st, you can come and watch one with us at Park Tavern. We have some fun giveaways. We'll be hanging out, cheersing some drinks at the official sports bar of the Sports Dad, Judd.
Absolutely correct. In the 11th frame, so back room, but it's attached to the patio, which, as Phil knows, is a gorgeous patio as well with TVs back there. So it's going to be a good time, and hopefully it's a great day so we can all sort of stroll outside a little bit and watch Twins Mets.
Yeah, come hang out with us. So, okay, let's actually start with the TV update here. Not to dismiss taking 2 out of 3 from the Phillies. The Twins are 11 games over 500 right now, and they're 5 back of the Guardians, and we'll get into some of that. But Judd, what's your intel here?
So there was a hearing yesterday in front of the bankruptcy judge in Houston, where the Diamond Sports Group, which is the owner of Bally Sports North, has been having all of their legal maneuverings. They've been in bankruptcy for like a year now, and they were expected to go away completely. And then they thought that they got an influx of cash, which they haven't yet. And so it's back and forth. Anyway, a preliminary hearing yesterday. Here is the headline. The only time we find out anything from Diamond Sports Group is when it's in open court, because you can't tell the judge no comment.
Yeah.
The attorney for Diamond Sports Group, again, which runs all of the Bally channels, said that an agreement with Comcast could be done soon. I did some checking. Best case, it's done in a week or two. They're back on Comcast in a week or two, which is huge because Comcast/Xfinity is the biggest cable provider in the metropolitan area, and there are a lot of people right now who can't watch a Twins team that is, as we're going to talk about, is actually exciting as hell and just won 2 or 3, including a Wednesday win that was huge, and a lot of people couldn't watch that. Here's the bad news about the potential agreement. The expectation is that Comcast/Xfinity won the negotiation. Shockingly, Bally doesn't have a leg to stand on because they're bankrupt and they're a complete mess. I wish they would go away. So that being said, they're probably going to come back on a sports tier. Diamond Sports Group, a big part of the reason why they are off of Comcast right now is obviously you lose subscription. You lose viewers when you go on to a different tier. So like if you're on basic cable, the whole world that gets cable can watch you. If you go onto a sports tier, which these leagues and these teams have always fought, and the networks, because now it's going to be, you got to pay extra. Personally, I don't care. Some will. However, if this is a way to get the Twins back on TV, it's better than nothing. And at least it makes it available if you want to watch it. So that's the headline. I've got a couple of more things that are offshoots of this, and it's some bad news, but that is the good news, that it looks like you're at least going to have an opportunity, hopefully, to watch the Twins again on Bally on Comcast.
Okay. And it could be sometime in August if this happens.
Best case, I think it's a week or two. Yeah, it could be quickly. I think the agreement's got some work, but I think there's a lot of, if Diamond has said we will accept a sports tier, there is no reason why Comcast doesn't put them right back on.
Okay. So that's short-term stuff here, right? Like that has nothing to do, or
Correct.
does it, with 2025 and beyond?
Has nothing to do with that. And in fact,
Because the Twins are still, it's a 1-year deal still with Diamond Sports
yes,
Group, right?
yes. And in fact, cheap plug, Sports Dad started a Substack page.
Oh,
Started
really?
a Substack page.
He did.
JuddZolgad.substack.com, at which I decided to again revisit my roots of radio, TV, sports reporting, and did a deep dive on this.
What is it again?
JuddZolgad, ZULGAD, not for you, for the folks out there, .substack.com.
Okay.
It's free right now. Might charge someday, but guess what? I'm not charging now. So please go subscribe for a deep dive. But here's the bad news, okay?
Oh, wait, you can pledge. Okay.
You can
So
pledge.
You can pledge. I'd like to see I'd like to see what the income might be. It's a theory right now, but right now I'm trying to write once every like 2 days, different subjects, little Vikings here, little Twins there,
yeah.
an outlet.
I saw
But-
Judd pecking away the other day at the press box.
Yep.
He was pecking away.
Yes, I
I
was.
love it, dude. I love it.
I was. But here's the bad news. Okay, let's talk about this. Phil, you're correct. This is a 1-year deal with Diamond, and it actually was terrible news because, as you recall, everybody, including the Twins, thought that MLB was going to be the white knight and come in and help them distribute games for 2024. And if that had been the case, here's the positive. All of the blackout restrictions locally on streaming disappear. So like the day in 2023 that the Padres went off Bally Sports San Diego and baseball came in, they immediately said, okay, $19.99 a month, MLB.com. If you're a Padres fan, you can watch the Padres in San Diego. So like Bally's is still worst case. It gets worse though, and here's the pisser. So Diamond remains in bankruptcy and had what is called a confirmation hearing set for July 29th. That would have allowed the judge to evaluate the bankruptcy plans. So at that point in time, he could have like almost pulled the plug, which would have been glorious.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, that has been in the hearing yesterday. That hearing date has been pushed back indefinitely. This is not good news. This means, and I was told this, bankruptcy judges do their best to try to help the bankrupt people, the company. So like they're not there to put the screws and say, I'm going to squash you. They're there to say, how can we work this out? Sort of like a arbitrator, mediator.
Yeah.
And so where this really gets to be bad news, though, is Bally's has no plan. They think they do. They don't. Or I should say Diamond. This has a very, very good chance now to not only impact the Twins, but the Wolves and Wild. Because if they would just go out of business, those teams can take their rights and work out, go to Fox 9 Plus for 25 games or KSDC, our channel. They can go ahead and just do streaming. This is worst case, in my opinion.
What do you think, as we come out from the weeds of this here, what do you think this local sports TV landscape looks like in 3 years?
Oh, I think one, it's largely based on streaming, which is just fine because, with people like me think streaming, you're going to have to sit in front of your computer and watch the game. Well, that's not the case with smart TVs.
Most people have
now.
smart TVs now.
Yeah, exactly right. You can watch the game. It's just like it's on a channel. I think that's one thing. I think for a while we're going to see a return to free games. I don't know if it's going to be a ton, but I do think the teams are going to Wild Wolves Twins. I think they're going to work out packages with what they call independent channels, which means I don't have network obligations. Mm-hmm. So like, again, Fox 9 Plus, KSTC, if they could carry 50 Twins games, awesome. Now the streaming component would still be there, but basically where teams are now is they are trying to find the sweet spot to reach the very wide array of ages that consume sports.
Yeah.
Because
you don't want to
guys
alienate.
stream.
Baseball fans are the oldest fans of any of the 4 major sports. You don't want to alienate your core fan base.
Right.
But not right now. You're alienating potential young fans by not being available widely where they can consume on a device, right?
and that's the problem is the Comcast thing had nothing to do with what you just said, which is if I can't stream the games and market, I ain't going to subscribe. So like I'll give you $20 a month to watch your games. I'm not going to write a huge bill for a regional sports network that shows crocheting and fishing shows. So that's a part of the problem. The other thing, though, and here's where the rubber meets the road, especially in baseball, the RSN gravy train, and that's what this was. I mean, the Twins were making, and it was low, $54 million in rights fees for 1 year.
And that was, to your point about it being low, that was regularly bottom third of the league in terms of rights fees. There was a lot of even comparable markets that were 60, 70, $80 million a year in rights fees the last 10 years.
Absolutely. So those were hand-delivered checks, though. No work. You sold your rights. That's going away. And teams are going to have to work, and leagues are as well, much harder to generate revenue. This is why the Twins, and we can complain about this, but the Twins' payroll is down, and I wouldn't be surprised if it does not go up or drops even more because of this next year. Now, that's a problem, but it's a problem the team has to face. The reality is the RSNs, as we know them and knew them, are not going to come back. The difference with like baseball and the NBA is this. The NBA just did that huge billion-dollar deal for years to come. So their national income is ching, ka-ching, ka-ching.
Yeah. Local is it's meaningful, but it's
And I believe that Silver is actually, and this is very smart, I think he's trying to break off another smaller package to take away the local games to just put them on nationally. Mm-hmm. So like Wolves games will show up on, let's say, a 50-game package occasionally. So the league gets more and the Wolves get exposure. So baseball, though, as we know, is not exactly it's a pursued sport as far as like the Foxes go. I'm not going to say that it's not, but they do not generate the same revenue. And we have seen the ESPNs of the world basically decide they don't want it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like baseball is so much more complicated because it's so locally driven. You've got 162 games, 81 home games in which most teams are putting 20 to 30 or 40,000 people per game. Like the money that you make off just the gate in baseball is so much more than the NBA when you've got these arenas that are, half or a third the size.
Yeah.
And then just the sheer volume of content that you can put on TV. It was valuable for these networks in the older days, even like 5 or 10 years ago, and certainly 20 years ago, the Fox Sports Norths, the Bally Sports Norths. They needed Twins games or Cardinals games or whatever market you're in to get cume, to get audience to hang out on their channel. And it's going to be so fascinating to see how this plays out, because I don't know that baseball can finagle its rights package to be like a national bulk deal as easily as the NBA. And the NFL is the easiest. It's just it's 1 day a week basically, and a couple other.
Hockey and baseball are regional sports.
Yeah.
And they have to find a way to maximize the money off of that. But this again is the Twins very well are they'll make something off of their games being shown in 2025. Hopefully it's not Bally's. It might drop again because they did get something. They won't say. Everyone's very hush-hush. But they do get a rights fee for 2024, but it's less than the $54 million that they got last year.
So let's just real quick on the math. So $50 million. And by the way, I think according to Forbes, the Twins' operating revenue was like $250 or $260 million at last check, maybe a year ago. So it looks like just, the Twins aren't going to open the books and let us see, but it looks like that check that you would get for $55 million is like 20% of, it's a big chunk of your revenue. And then there's some national split revenue. The stadium revenue, ticket revenue is a big chunk, and concessions, and there's merchandise, there's sponsorships. But like, you can't just lose that $50 million and expect business as usual, which is why they stripped the payroll down. So if they were faced with no check available in 2025, you have to either cobble together your own deal and sell the ads. Like maybe you take on the inventory and you sell ads, or you start, maybe there's a streaming platform like we see with these National League West teams, the Rockies, the Diamondbacks.
And that's baseball steps in.
Yeah. So, okay, let's call it 50. You're trying to get back to $55 million divided by, let's say a streaming package would be, what is like $100 a year? It's like $20 a month or like so let's call it $100 a year if you bought the, the full package. You get like a discount for the annual, right?
Sure.
So, I mean, the math is easy on that. You'd need 550,000 subscribers immediately.
Yeah.
If that was your only model, if it was just we need people to pay for the direct to your living room streaming product.
Right. And teams
550,000. I mean, there's definitely 550,000 Twins fans lurking around, but they're not all like immediately going to hand a $100 bill to the Twins in Major League Baseball. So
and the problem where this is right now fractured is what baseball is trying to do is get those streaming channels on cable channels, because again, this is probably like the biggest discrepancy in how people watch things.
Yeah.
So like if you go to some guy, I mean, you can't tell a nursing home, stream the game. Like they're going to be like, what are you talking, right? So like that's the thing is, if everyone is just going to stream.
Where's the Twins game? How do I get my Twins game?
I'm so done with that. Just go away, Diamond.
Twins game.
What do you like that? Chris.
It's
Now
my
your back's gonna hurt
newspapers.
because you just bought yourself landscaping duty. I think
Terrible.
the issue here is like much like in a politics game, the Twins' morale with their fan base and how they're looking at ownership right now is very low. So even if you gave them a streaming option like this, from a business side, you are not going to get those swing voters. You are not going to get those in-between people of, hey, I would like to have Twins games. The common fan is as upset with this baseball team, despite them being a winning team on the field. They are more upset with the direction I think the ownership has gone here, and it will take them a long time to really build up a sustainable replacement to get them to the revenue I think that they want to have. That will be a huge uphill climb for them.
And I think to your point, Declan, one of the biggest problems is this. If you guys recall, game 1 of the playoffs against the Blue Jays last year, right, was a ton of young people who might live downtown or close, right? And tickets were cheap and there were a bunch available. And they're like, let's go check it out. And they were awesome fans, right? By having the blackouts on streaming, you literally told them to buzz off.
Those people, not to over dramatize, like those people will 100% be back in that ballpark if they go play a playoff series. If the Yankees come into Target Field or something for a playoff
games,
series,
right? What I'm saying is they either want to stream games, or they'll come back to get drunk and have fun. But you're trying to turn them into real fans.
Yeah. So great stuff. That's just great information from Judd, and I have now subscribed to your Substack. And I will decide how much to pledge for this platform once I read. So I want to make sure you're not. Right, I'm not. I just want to make sure you're providing some good meaty content here before I just cut you a check, cut you a $50 million check.
JuddZolgad.substack.com, a Sports Dad production.
Hey, a couple other things. We'll get to an immaculate grid and just a quick take from Declan on yesterday's win. After we shout out Nicolay Law. Nicolay Law is here. By the way, huge supporters and fans of the local sports teams, Twins, the Purple. Nicolay Law also proud to serve the communities that they live in around the Twin Cities. They're just your normal everyday folks, the ones you see maybe at the ballpark, walking your dog, etc. And they're just normal folks who happen to have law degrees to help you get the compensation you deserve after an accident. So if you've been injured, get Minnesota's local award-winning injury lawyers. Get Nicolay at nicolaylaw.com or give them a call at 1-855-NICOLAY. Before the Immaculate Grid Challenge here, Declan, give us your favorite. We'll pull a benchmark from the state of the Twins. Your favorite Twins thing from taking 2 out of 3 against the Phillies.
My favorite thing was the pitching staff, man. I mean, Bailey Ober, Simeon Woods Richardson. I'll loop in. David Festa there as well. They just were up and down against a Phillies team that's a little cold right now, but at the same time, they're one of the best teams in baseball. Bailey Ober, who does still suffer from the Brad Radke disease, as I like to call it, with the first inning runs, was locked in afterwards. Simeon, I mean, you saw like some actual emotion from him, and he is a little bit he'll wear the emotion on the sleeve, but the play from Matt Wallner on the warning track and left to gun down Trey Turner, I mean, he was as pumped up as I've ever seen him. I thought the pitching staff really, really showed up. There was some concerns in the series. It's weird because you take 2 out of 3 and you'll take it every single time. It didn't feel like the Twins were really ever in control of that series, but sometimes bounces happen and weird things happen like that. By the end of the score, you win both games, you win 2 of the 3 games, and you'll obviously take it and won't complain about it.
It was a very playoff-like feel to that series where you're grinding against one of these incredible lineups. You're trying to get hits off great starting pitchers. You're trailing late in the game. You're trying to figure out how to get back into it. Just a lot of like high leverage clutch situations. It was a good preview of what we might see at Target Field starting in October. So super fun.
That's a defining win as well. I mean, that's impressive. And you know what, too? Like when they lost 2 to the Brewers, and then you took a look at who was going to start for the Phillies over a 3-day period, you're like, they'll be lucky to win 1 of these 3. They win 2. And I think if this team has success, when you look back, you're going to circle this game as like a huge, I mean, no Correa, no Miranda, the guys, no Royce. And that's just damn impressive. So good for them.
What's been so bizarre is they have done an incredible job at, and not like tagging these good pitchers, but making these guys work when Seattle came here. And they took 3 out of 4 against that rotation, which is one of the best in baseball. They took 2 out of 3 against 3 really good pitchers in Philly. Like sometimes, we look at the Twins and they can't beat winning teams. Okay, whatever, that's not all it is. But they have been able to go after some of the game's best starters. They're not just beating up on the 4th and 5th guy. They have had competitive games and at-bats against some really good pitchers, which come playoff time, I mean, that is an incredible sign. And yes, they did it mostly without Royce, without Miranda, obviously, this weekend, Correa too.
Yeah. So now they lead up to the trade deadline on Tuesday, and it's just, I think, man, you got to, like you guys just said, you got to feel good coming out of that series, taking 2 out of 3. Okay, boys, we have 8 minutes to squeeze in an immaculate grid because Judd's got to get to a Purple Access episode. So we'll pop this up on the screen. This is one of the more unique immaculate grids we've seen with the Twins on the grid. So we're looking for, first of all, we're looking for the most obscure answers to these squares as possible to get the lowest rarity score we can. We're looking for a Twin who played first base in just 1 game or more. We're looking for a Twin who played second base at least in a game. And we're looking for a Twin who played third base. We're also looking for a Diamondback who played first, second, third, and a White Sox who played first, second, third. So literally, you could have played 1 game at those positions, and you would count for any of these squares. So the options for being obscure are great. But now we only have 7 minutes left. So
all right, on the Twins, since I have watched this team since 1978, I can provide some help of really obscure names. I can provide some help. Played first base. How about Craig Mongo Cusick?
Sure.
You guys,
I was gonna say like Chris Parmalee or something, but
Craig Cusick, K. K-U. Yep.
Craig Cusick.
Yep.
Not Craig Kimbrell.
Nope, not Craig Kimbrell. Don't hear it selected.
Let's trust Judd on this one.
0.4.
Okay, a Twin who played second base. How about either Nishioka or might be too obvious.
Might be top of mind for Twins fans.
Yeah,
Jay Cannizzaro.
Yeah, that's a good one.
From the
Jay
early
Cannizzaro's
2000s.
a good one. Rob Wilfong, Bobby Randall, Pete McCannon.
Oh man,
back from my youth.
Should we go? Well, Jay Cannizzaro is going to be really obscure.
Yep.
So yeah, let's do
That's
it.
fine. Let's do it. Pull the trigger.
Pull the trigger.
0.08.
Third base, I got Larry Wolf, Eric Soderholm,
Tommy Watkins.
Tommy Watkins. Yeah,
Terry Tiffy.
Tommy Watkins.
That's a
well, wait,
great one.
Since he coaches, will people remember he played for them? Because that's a good obscure playing one.
Glenn
Tommy
Williams.
Glenn.
Oh
Williams,
yeah.
dude.
Go with
Glenn
the
Williams.
Aussie. Badass Aussie.
Let's go Glenn Williams.
It's
Two ends, right?
I
Yeah.
believe, yeah.
Glenn
Yes,
Williams.
2005.
Yeah, that's a good one.
it.
One time.
Point one.
Point one, dude.
Nice.
Love it.
Let's do White Sox.
Okay.
The first base is loaded with like prominent Hall of Fame All-Star caliber guys.
But again, can we think former Twins?
Well, third base for the White Sox, Eric Soderholm works there too because he went from the Twins to the White Sox. So if you go to third base, Eric Soderholm, I think it's ERIC Soderholm. Whoops. Yep.
There he is.
Eric Soderholm.
Yep,
Okay.
he was.
0.9.
0.9. How is that a 0.9?
A lot of great baseball fans out there, Phil.
That's amazing.
It really is. I am surprised.
Excuse me, a Sox second baseman. The Twins got Eduardo Escobar from the Sox, but his career really took off after he left the Sox.
He would work. So do we want to try and go all Twins here?
If we can, yeah, I think so.
Kind of fun.
Yeah,
Sure.
We could probably
can.
Love it.
Well, he'd also work for Diamondbacks, right?
Yeah, he would,
but he's more obscure for White Sox.
yeah. Eduardo
Okay.
Esky.
Okay.
Esky.
Come on, guy. This makes it a little harder to go Islo.
0.2.
Okay, real quick
How
to
was
jump to the.
Soderholm 0.9? Yep. Sorry.
I don't know. It's weird. To jump to the Diamondbacks real quick, if we're going former Twins, how about Tony Batista at third base?
Ooh.
Tony Batista. He was like, I think he was an original Diamondback, wasn't he?
He might have been, yeah.
Wasn't he like, was
Oh,
he on
yeah.
the
Sounds right.
98 team?
All right.
0.7.
0.7.
Second base.
Second base Diamondback.
I don't know, former Twin.
Ohud.
Ohud played there.
Orlando Hudson.
Oh, good
He
call.
played.
Good-
He
okay,
played.
yeah.
He
Yep, let's just
played.
see this out. I love it. Good call.
Ohud. 4.
4%. That's okay. We chose this path.
I was going to say, we made our bet.
Chris Herman
Plays
went
at
to the
first base?
Diamondbacks
Yep.
and mixed in at first.
That's a great one. I'm just real quick, just trying to think of.
No, that's a good one. That'll be below my Soderholm one.
Parmalee didn't play for the Diamondbacks.
No.
Let's do her. Yeah, Herman's good.
There he is.
0.05.
Oh,
Nice, Dex. Way to bring it. All right, who played first base?
Did Justin Morneau?
Yeah?
It's a White Sox, right? Well, Jim
Yeah.
Thome, but Jim
Thome.
Thome's a really obvious one.
Is Morneau a top of mind White Sox?
Yeah, I don't. Well, he was good. There's got to be
Morneau and Thome.
someone
Back
else.
in the day, in the 90s.
Also,
trying to
like
think-
he was there when Abreu was like. I feel like he mixed in a lot, like some DH.
All right.
Trying to think here. Who are
Yeah, we're looking for
former-
a twin. That's why we're at. I mean, there's a million options for first base
Right,
White
right.
Sox, obviously. Well, the reason we're hemming and
played-
hawing is we're looking for an obscure twin.
trying
And
to get
we could do Thome right away, and
That's
I mean,
way too-
Morneau had to have played an inning
Yeah.
at first base, right? So
Yeah. Ah, man. 70s Twins?
2000s Twins. Trying to think of.
Joe Creedy, would Joe Creedy have played a game at
just gonna
first
ask.
base for the White Sox?
I don't know.
Corner guy?
He was-
We should take a chance.
I bet he did. I mean, he's like a third baseman with back problems. They probably threw him at first base.
But
right?
he was at back problems, but he was so good for them. Who played first? I'm trying to think. Who's playing first for them right now? Because like you can use active players. So who?
But he's not a
the
former
hell
Twin.
played
We're looking for
first
former
then?
twins.
Yeah, I know. I that's also.
We got to do a
I'm
former
sorry.
twin. I say we
Dude,
do.
if you wanted to go
Morneau.
if you wanted to go
Pierzynski?
obscure, we go like Greg Norton or so, like
Yeah.
take one of those 90s.
Yeah.
Piers-
I feel like we're going for
Nick
former
Swisher.
twins. I feel like
Swisher.
we're down to the
Would
last one now.
Pierzynski have played a game at first for the White Sox?
Oh, I like that
05?
one too. Pull the trigger.
Dude, I would.
AJ?
I'm more confident that Joe Creedy played a game at first because he was a third baseman,
Yeah.
All right.
but I don't know for sure.
Well, let's do it.
Or Morneau.
Joe Creedy.
What do you think? Oh my God.
No.
That's okay. It's okay.
Really?
All right. Boys,
Damn it.
as Chip Scoggins says, I gotta go.
All right. Hey, that's the Score North Twin Show. We hope to see a bunch of you Tuesday, July 30th, trade deadline day, 4 o'clock, Park Tavern, as we count down the minutes until whatever happens at the trade deadline for the Twins. We watched that Twins-Mets game, so thanks for hanging out with us here. Declan, our resident beat podcaster, check out the extra innings episodes he's pumping out on a regular basis, too. And if you could give us a 5-star rating and a positive review on Apple and Spotify, you can help take this podcast to the upper deck.